Padme sits pensively, reflecting on her vast journey, starting with their escape from Tatooine to the end of the invasion and the arrest of Newt Gunray on Naboo. Padme thinks about Anakin and Shmi. Without their help, they wouldn't have made it off-world to Coruscant and later rescued her people from the Trade Federation. She owes it to them and recalls how Shmi is still a slave on Tatooine. This creates unease in Padme. Shmi doesn't deserve that fate. Padme makes, in that moment, a risky choice. She leaves Naboo and heads to Tatooine in disguise, once again accompanied by Captain Panaka as she returns to Watto's shop. Upon arriving at the shop, Watto is surprised and equally as annoyed to see the young lady again. He makes a quip about the Jedi not being present. She cuts to the chase and offers Watto enough money to purchase Shmi Skywalker. He makes a counteroffer that he will sell her to Shmi if the offer is enough to pay off his gambling debts, believing that she will be unable to attain this. She accepts the terms right there and then, offering him the money without question. A dumbfounded Watto accepts this payment, returning Shmi as she is given to Padme. Padme and Panaka leave with Shmi for Naboo, where she can now begin a new life. Have you ever wondered what would have happened if Padme had saved Anakin's mother on Tatooine? Well, that's the story that we are diving right into today. So, if you're interested, cuddle up with your pet Tauntaun, grab a bowl of bantha stew, and let's dive right into what if Padme saved Anakin's mother. In addition, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe, as it really helps build the channel. Upon arriving on Naboo, Shmi is absolutely enamored by the beautiful planet. After years and years of living in slavery, this and its regal nature, the palace on Theed, the clothing, everything about this place feels like a dream to Shmi. Her eyes widen and her jaw drops as she leaves the ship with Padme, departing for Theed Palace. Padme promises to integrate Shmi well into her new life as a free woman, accommodating all of her needs and providing her a place to work within the palace. Shmi accepts this responsibility gratefully, serving the Queen of Naboo without complaint. After all, she had just freed her. She asks about Anakin, and Padme gives her the news that he had been accepted into the Jedi Order. Upon request, Padme reaches out to the Jedi Council, asking that Anakin return to Naboo so that she might knight him personally. All of this is done very cleverly, and Padme words her transmission in a way that makes sure Anakin's mother is not mentioned at all. After all, if the Council found out about Shmi being on Naboo, they very well may not let him go to see Padme and to explore the planet even more. However, without knowledge of Anakin's mother being present, they permit the young Jedi Padawan to go to Naboo on a solo trip, ready to accompany Padme. At the last second, though, Obi-Wan convinces the Council that as Anakin's master, he should also be permitted to go. "Master Yoda, I am Anakin's master," he says. "This is absurd that Padme wants him to go solo." Yoda nods his head. "Understand you, I do. Accompany your Padawan to Naboo. You shall," he says. Obi-Wan nods his head gratefully. "Thank you, Master. I'm glad that you appreciate my understanding and my concern for my apprentice." So, Anakin and Obi-Wan both make their way to Naboo, where they're greeted warmly by Queen Padmé Amidala. Anakin is bestowed his title that was promised to him by the Queen of Naboo. He is knighted for his heroic acts on the planet. After the ceremony, Padme smiles at Anakin. "Congratulations, Knight of Naboo," she says, giving him a warm pat on the shoulder. Anakin smiles back at her, eagerly. "Well, thank you, Queen," he says, his young voice continuing to be filled with vivacity and youthful exuberance. "One of my handmaidens was so impressed with you that she was looking forward to meeting you. Come, Anakin, I want to introduce you to somebody." Anakin walks with Padme and with Obi-Wan across the massive palace, and there, standing in the corner of the room in which Anakin had been knighted, is somebody who is shrouded in the familiar hoods of the handmaidens. When she removes her headdress, however, Anakin's jaw absolutely drops, as does Obi-Wan's. "Mother!" he exclaims, ecstatic to see her after all this time. "Padme," he continues, I don't know what to say. What's going on? She works here? Did you free her?" Padme, thank you, Anakin says, hugging Padme. She smiles and looks back at him. Well, you're very welcome, Annie. He hugs his mother then, almost beaming ear to ear, and his face starting to tear up. I'm so proud of you, Annie, Shmi proclaims, her eyes welling with tears as well, as a sweet smile spreads across her face. This moment is bittersweet, though, as both mother and son mourn together the loss of the Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, who had been so kind to them both. Obi-Wan also sits, nodding. He looks at this moment, puzzled. Simultaneously, he is both excited for his young apprentice, but also wondering what the council will think. Then, the thoughts of Qui-Gon come back to him, and he simply sits there, his face stern, and his eyes locked with pain. I know you guys are excited to see each other, Padme says, but I think we're going to have to keep this a secret. Obi-Wan looks back at her. A secret? From the council, you mean? He says. Padme nods. What, you want me to lie to Master Yoda? Obi-Wan replies. What, you want to see your apprentice without a mother? Without somebody to look up to in his life? Padme replies. Anakin looks back and forth. Obi-Wan, please. She's my mom. You know what the council will do if they find out about her. You know that I won't be allowed to train with you. You know that they'll be mad. Please, Obi-Wan, can we just keep this between us? Obi-Wan sighs, looking at both of them. He then looks into the eager eyes of his young apprentice, who had so much to give to the Order. Finally, he nods. All right, Anakin, we can keep this a secret. I won't tell the council, because I respect you both, he says. We will keep this as our little arrangement. Anakin smiles at his master. Thank you, Obi-Wan. Thank you so much. For the next 10 years, Anakin continues his training as a Jedi under the tutelage of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anakin grows to see his master as an older brother of sorts due to his mother now being present in his life. The relationship proves to be powerful for both of them, and both become closer as a result. Obi-Wan isn't simply a strict master in Anakin's life. He's not a father who won't let his son go out and do things. No. Together, they grow, they learn, and Obi-Wan feels himself being more of a mentor than a master. Anakin's relationship with Padme also grows as he visits the Queen whenever he goes to speak with his mother on Naboo. Their friendship is not awkward, but it grows naturally over time. Anakin's skill with the lightsaber and the Force are unimpeded, as he does not suffer from any internal conflict or need to prove himself to the Jedi Council. He grows at his own pace, and very fast as well. He quickly becomes adept in lightsaber combat, and establishes himself as a prominent Force user. He is a formidable opponent, and he becomes renowned throughout the Order quite swiftly. The Council even begins to wonder if perhaps this was the chosen one after all. Anakin receives support from many avenues, his mother, Kenobi, and Padme alike. This makes him hard to manipulate, as he has very few unmet needs and is secure within himself and his place in the Order. Bad actors such as Palpatine still try to gain a grasp over the young Jedi, but he is unbothered by these advances, sticking within his strong, closely knit support circle. Alongside this, the Supreme Chancellor's interest in the boy is obstructed by the Jedi Council, who believes that Palpatine has no place interfering with the boy's growth as a Jedi. They believe that the Senate and the Order should remain separate in this instance, and that they would be the ones charged with taking control of Anakin's destiny. One day, while Padme is visiting Coruscant, unexpectedly, there's an attempt made on the Senator's life. Obi-Wan and Anakin are assigned by the office of the Supreme Chancellor to protect Padme, as a second attempt is later made on her life. That night, the two sense a break-in at Padme's penthouse. The Jedi rush to her aid. Anakin slashes the bugs from atop of Padme's bed, saving the Senator from imminent doom. Meanwhile, a courier droid, obviously having dropped the creatures through the window, hovers outside. Kenobi takes a leap, catching the droid as it makes a getaway. Anakin sprints to fetch a speeder to follow his master through the city Coruscant skyline. As he begins to approach Kenobi, Anakin spots Zam Wesell, setting her scopes on Kenobi. Anakin reaches his master, just in the nick of time, speeding off towards Zam, calm and collected. As they arrive, the bounty hunter attempts to make her get away. Anakin doesn't know this though, throwing his lightsaber into the console of her ship, rendering it useless. Meanwhile, Kenobi kicks her to the floor and begins his interrogation. But just as she starts to spill the bantha beans, Zam Wesell is hit by a poisoned dart from a Mandalorian bounty hunter in the skies, obviously her employer seeking to keep his identity a secret. The two head back to Padme's penthouse, dejected. Anakin's relationship with Padme grows naturally again, without awkwardness. The two quickly fall into a deep and authentic, passionate romance with one another. By this time, Shmi has moved on from serving in the royal palace and instead works as a servant at the Amidala household. Anakin and Padme visit Amidala's lakeside home after the charge from the Jedi Council, where Anakin can spend some time with both his mother and Padme. He also meets Padme's parents, and they have a little bit of an awkward interaction. He admits to his mother that he's developed feelings for Padme over all of these years, but that the Jedi Code forbids attachments. Anakin, let me ask you a question, Shmi asks. Anakin pauses and cocks his head, confused. Ask away, Mom, he replies. Do you believe that your attachment to me makes you somehow a worse Jedi? Anakin pauses for a moment, contemplating this. No, he says. In fact, I dare say that the opposite is true. I love you, Mom, and I want to protect the galaxy and be a better Jedi for you, he says. Shmi says. Anakin, you are free to love whoever you want. If you want to love Padme, well, why let the Jedi stop you if it makes you better, she says. You should go for it. Anakin smiles. Thanks for your advice, Mom. I actually appreciate it. He then turns away and goes to speak with Padme. The two of them look at each other, especially after their long-term relationship with one another. Padme, I want to marry you, he says. Padme is shocked, but she smiles, her eyes tearing up a little bit. Anakin, I would be honored, she continues. Later in the week, both of them happily wed in secret, with both families present, and Shmi and the droids also being there. Anakin and Padme are finally able to live the life that they want to live together. And now, Anakin's mother is also in approval. In the following months, Anakin and Obi-Wan soon become generals in the Clone Wars that are continuing to rage across the galaxy following the Battle of Geonosis and Dooku's proclamation of separation. Anakin becomes a Jedi Knight after defeating Asajj Ventress on Yavin 4, and eventually he becomes a Jedi General as well, leading the 501st Legion to victory after victory against the CIS, becoming a renowned battle master across the galaxy. Because of Anakin's composure, his victories come with very few costs, leading to great fame within the Republic and infamy within the CIS as the war progresses. 3 years later, the Battle of Coruscant comes to be. Anakin and Kenobi fight their way to Dooku. After a strenuous battle and a series of blows, Anakin skillfully defeats the Count, proving to him that twice the pride does not always equal double the fall. He then disarms him, quite literally, as he holds the Sith's glowing red blade against his throat. Do it, Padme says to him. Kill him. Kill him now. Anakin looks back at the Chancellor. That's not the Jedi way, he says. Sometimes the Jedi Code is restrictive, don't you think, Skywalker? Certain rules are meant to be broken, especially in the theater of combat, Palpatine continues. Killing Dooku would be a major blow to the Separatists, and it would help us as the war progresses. Anakin looks back at the Chancellor. Wouldn't you want him captured so that he can bear witness to the Senate about all of the things that the CIS is doing? Chancellor Palpatine simply looks back at him. Well, the choice is yours, Anakin. But I believe that killing him would be the best bet. No, Anakin says. He looks the Chancellor directly in the eye. I am taking Dooku to Coruscant for him to be held trial. And you are coming with me as well, Chancellor. After Obi-Wan recovers and Dooku is shackled at the elbows, Anakin, the Chancellor, and Obi-Wan, all of them begin their escape before landing half of the invisible hand on Coruscant's surface. Obi-Wan smiles as they clip the control tower. Another happy landing, he says. The news of Palpatine's rescue and Dooku's capture spreads like wildfire between the Republic and the Separatists. The HoloNet is all over this, especially Bantha News Network Incorporated. The crushing loss of Dooku sends the CIS into a retreat as Grievous becomes the new head of state for the CIS military. Anakin reunites with Padme and learns that she is pregnant on Coruscant. Anakin rejoices with the news, but then he starts to have nightmares about her death, and he can feel something insidious creeping into his conscience. Said nightmares become overwhelming as he seeks counsel from his mother. He looks at her on the holocall as he starts to confide in her about what he was experiencing with Padme. She looks back at him with love in her eyes. "Oh, Anakin, I wish I could just hug you right now," she says. "You shouldn't just try to keep Padme alive at all costs, though," she says. "Sometimes we have to move on. We have to lose the ones that we love, and these are just dreams after all, Anakin. You don't know that they're actually going to happen. Sometimes, in life, we have to move forward, and we can't let our fears get the best of us. Keep living in the moment, Anakin. Keep looking to the future, but don't fear what's to come," she says. This soothes Anakin's soul significantly, especially since the counsel that he had received from the Jedi Council hadn't really helped him much. Yoda had simply said to let go, whereas now his mother was telling him that he didn't have to let go, but that he had to move forward. Having somebody that he can trust in his life really helps Anakin to breathe. The nightmares continue, but he agrees with his mother, and he doesn't let them get on his consciousness too much. As Anakin is successful in capturing Dooku, the Jedi Council grants him the rank of Jedi Master and gives him a seat on the Council, independent of Palpatine's plans. Anakin is led on a mission to spy on the Chancellor. "What?" Anakin asks. "This mission, I don't know if I follow. You want me to spy on the Chancellor?" "No," Mace Windu says. "We simply want you to gather information. We believe that there may be something insidious at play with the Chancellor. Surely you've sensed it, Skywalker. There's a dark cloud around him." Windu continues. Anakin nods. "Yes, I agree, Windu. He tried to get me to kill Dooku, which surprised me. I thought that he would want Dooku captured for the good of the Republic and possible peace negotiations to begin with Separatists. But no, he wanted him dead. There is something strange going on there." Anakin agrees. "I'll watch him," Anakin says. Sidious begins to realize that time is running out in the war and that his plans would soon be revealed to the galaxy. So, he attempts to plant seeds of hope within Skywalker, telling him the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and even sharing cups of Bantha Brew Calf with him after meetings with senators and various officials had transpired. Eventually, Palpatine decides to reveal his identity to Anakin, taking a risk and a leap in his plan. "Use my knowledge, I beg you," Palpatine says. Anakin holds his lightsaber to Sidious's neck. "I alone can help you save Padme," he says. "The Council doesn't care. They don't have the powers that I do. I know about your dreams, Anakin." This tips Anakin off that something is awry. "What dreams?" he says. "I never told you about any dreams that I was having." Sidious then looks at him with a sly smile on his face. "Oh, I can sense everything, Anakin. I am the Dark Lord of the Sith. What? Do you think that I wouldn't be able to sense your animosity, the feelings of distrust that you have, the things that are going on inside your head? No, I can see it all, Anakin, and I can help you." Anakin doesn't take this news well. "I'm going to tell the council right now," Anakin says. Yes, as you should," Palpatine continues. He then goes immediately to Mace Windu and tells him the news. Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord. Mace Windu agrees then that they would have to act quickly in deposing Palpatine and bringing stability back to the Republic. Anakin reveals his findings to Windu, and Windu meets those concerns with incredible seriousness. He sees Anakin's maturity, especially since he was one of the masters who had advocated for Anakin's promotion to master, and he permits him to join the other council members in their move to arrest Palpatine, recognizing him as an asset to the team. All 5 Jedi go to confront the Sith Lord, who retaliates. Chancellor Palpatine, in the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you are under arrest, Windu says. Are you threatening me, Master Jedi? Palpatine says in turn. The Senate will decide your fate. Windu retaliates. Palpatine smiles. I am the Senate. He muses, basking in this moment. Not yet, Windu snaps back. It's treason then, Palpatine says before jumping onto the attack. A battle begins and Sidious swiftly kills Aegon Collar and Sassy Tin. Windu, Fisto, and Skywalker surround Sidious as he tries to cut down the first 2 Jedi Masters, Windu and Fisto, and convince Anakin to join him to save the ones that he loves. In this moment, though, Anakin had already made his decision. As lightsabers are whirling, lightning is flashing, and an entire Force battle rages between these 3 Jedi Masters, Anakin is not conflicted whatsoever as he resists the Sith Lord's pleas. Sidious lashes out, trying to kill Skywalker with a massive blow of Force lightning. But Anakin, using his mastery of the Force in that moment as the Chosen One, soaks up the lightning just as Yoda does and fires it back at Sidious. He isn't expecting this at all, not thinking that Anakin's power was this great. He feels himself consumed by his own hatred, his own dark energy, as his lightning eats his flesh away and consumes him. Sidious dies laughing, cackling, as he basks in his final moments as the Dark Lord of the Sith, before Anakin finally kills him with his own Sith lightning. After Palpatine's death, Windu calls for an emergency session of the Senate. He reveals that Palpatine's true identity is Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord who had orchestrated the war. He then provides evidence to support his claims, holo-recordings of the duel in the Chancellor's office, testimonies from Dooku and Maul who had both been captured in this timeline, and documents from Palpatine's residence and Dooku's castle on Sereno detailing their Sith grand plan. The Senate is shocked by this revelation, but acquits the Jedi after Padmé Amidala and her delegation of 2,000 back up the Jedi's actions, seeking peace in the galaxy rather than continued unrest that was furthered by Palpatine's apologists. With the deaths of Sidious and Grievous, the arrest of Dooku, and the CIS government in shambles, everything in the Separatist movement begins to crumble. Information from Palpatine's office and holo-recordings on Utapau reveal the CIS leader's presence on Mustafar. A Jedi strike team arrives and arrests the leaders, delivering them to Coruscant for a fair trial. Without its corporate leadership, the Separatist movement dissolves, and the war comes to an end. Anakin Skywalker is hailed as a hero of the Jedi Order and of the Republic. He becomes a respected member of the Jedi Council, though not before revealing to them his marriage to Padme and his mother Shmi's presence on Naboo. He explains how their love and relationship has strengthened his resolve, making him a more powerful Jedi with more strong convictions and even greater compassion for the people of the galaxy. He had resisted the Sith Lord's invitation to the dark side because of his mother's compassion to him. He convinces the Jedi Council that attachments can be beneficial as long as the Jedi does not forsake his greater calling to protect the innocent and exhibit sacrificial love for others. The The council actually agrees for the first time in many years, understanding that Anakin was right and seeing that his actions had benefited the Order. They realized that Anakin wouldn't have become the Jedi that he was without his mother and his wife by his side. Anakin begins to reform the Jedi Order from the Council, and they allow its members to form and keep healthy attachments, much like Luke's Jedi Order within Legends. Many Jedi within the Order marry and start to have children, and the Order multiplies exponentially. With a much larger Order, and with Anakin's input, the Jedi start to expand more into the Outer Rim to help those who are oppressed, and they start to try and free the slaves, just as Anakin had always been passionate about. The crime families and syndicates are eventually degraded and brought to their knees with the might of the Jedi and the clones. Peace and justice is restored to the galaxy as Anakin trains his young children alongside Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and other supportive members of the Jedi Order. It looks as though Anakin, liberator of countless people and the one who had brought revival to the Jedi Order, had been the chosen one after all.